There's been a major shakeup in the Israeli government. Let's talk about it. On Sunday, June 9th, Israeli Minister Benny Gantz resigned from his position in Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition wartime government. Gantz is head of the centrist Israel Resilience Party. Netanyahu is head of Israel's right-wing Likud party. Now, last month, Gantz, fed up with the way Benjamin Netanyahu has been handling the war, gave Netanyahu basically an ultimatum, and he laid out 6 objectives that he said that Netanyahu had to accept, or else he was going to resign on June 8th. Now, on June 8th, as we know, there were 4 Israeli kidnapped civilians that were rescued by the IDF from Gaza, so he didn't make that announcement on the 8th, but he did make that announcement on the 9th after he realized that there was just no chance of Netanyahu paying attention to those 6 objectives. Okay, so those 6 objectives that he laid out are: number 1, release the hostages; number 2, demolish Hamas and demilitarize Gaza; number 3, come up with a governing alternative in the Gaza Strip; number 4, return the residents of the North back to their homes by September 1st. Now, the North is facing attacks by Hezbollah, a terrorist group out of Lebanon. So he wants that taken care of. And also, in the South, he wants the Western Negev, which is the area that was attacked by Hamas, a terrorist organization out of Gaza. He wants that area also to be rehabilitated so that residents that have been displaced, and there are like 100,000 of them in Israel now, so that those residents can go back to their homes. Okay, number 5, promote normalization with Saudi Arabia. And number 6, he wants Netanyahu to adopt a comprehensive, standardized national service that includes all Israelis, including Arabs and ultra-Orthodox religious Jews. Basically, what he's saying is that he wants all Israelis to serve in the mandatory army and not to give releases to certain groups. So, why is it important that Gantz has left Netanyahu's wartime coalition government? Well, this matters because Israel's political structure is a parliamentary democracy. Israel's legislative body is called the Knesset, and the Knesset has 120 seats. In order to have a majority in the Knesset, you have to have 61 seats. These seats are comprised of various political parties. The number of seats given to a political party depends on proportional representation. Basically, that's based on the number of people who vote for the party. A 61-seat majority is needed to be the governing party in the Knesset, but since no Israeli political party has ever managed to get 61 seats by themselves with their own political party, they have to make coalitions with other political parties in order to get that majority. So because of the way the Israeli government is set up in this parliamentary system, this means that a political party with a small number of seats can actually have a lot of power if they make a deal to be in a governing coalition that puts them in the majority. So real quick, if you're voting for the political party, who becomes the prime minister? This usually happens through a process in which the president of Israel chooses the leader of a party, usually the party that got the most number of seats, to form a coalition. Then that leader has 4 weeks to build a coalition. Now, the parties that do not end up becoming part of the governing coalition government, they become part of the opposition government. And this is also a very important position because they are a check or like a balance of power to the coalition government and the prime minister. Parties can be added or removed to the governing coalition during the term of the majority coalition. However, if the majority coalition falls beneath that 61-seat threshold to keep the majority, then the coalition can fall apart. So how does this relate to Benny Gantz's resignation from the Netanyahu emergency coalition war government? Well, the big question is, will his resignation impact Netanyahu's coalition? So if you're asking if Netanyahu's government will collapse, then the answer to that question is no, because Netanyahu still has a majority even without Gantz. So when Gantz was a part of the government, they had 72 seats. Now they're down to 64, which is still above that 61-seat threshold that they need to keep the majority. So in terms of the life of the majority coalition, it's not going to affect them. They're still in charge of the government. But in terms of credibility, this is a big question because Gantz was the only centrist that was a part of the Netanyahu coalition government. Now with Gantz gone, Netanyahu is going to have to rely on his right-wing coalition partners to make decisions about the war. This could impact negotiations to end the war, though some commentators say that it won't really make much of a difference. I guess we'll see what happens in the coming months. Gantz has asked Netanyahu, who has faced lots of criticism in Israel with protests on the streets on Saturday nights in Tel Aviv. He's obviously a very divisive figure in Israeli politics. Gantz has asked for him to set a date for new elections. Gantz, you should know, is also considered to be Netanyahu's major political rival. But again, it was good for him to be in Netanyahu's government because it was also said that he brought credibility to Netanyahu by being there. Now, on Sunday during Gantz's resignation speech, he said that Netanyahu prevented Israel from reaching a true victory in Gaza, and that is why he was leaving the coalition with a heavy heart. In the meanwhile, Benjamin Netanyahu is still the Prime Minister of Israel. He still has a majority coalition government, and he is still expected to address Congress here in America on July 24th. And while it seems that there is still major support for Israel here in America, there are some cracks, there are some divisions. You can probably expect that there will be public protests against Netanyahu, and some Democratic Congress people have indicated that they may be boycotting Netanyahu's speech when he comes to Washington, D.C. So this could highlight some divisions in the Democratic Party when it comes to the issue of Israel. But July is still a month away, and there's still a lot of things that can happen between now and when Netanyahu comes and addresses the government. Of course, I will keep you updated. So what you want to do is subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications, and I will tell you everything you need to know. That's it for now. Bye.